Hey there and welcome back to Sea Power. We are operating K493, an Alpha-class submarine. Our objective is to sneak through the GIUK gap as World War III is in full swing. If we encounter any surface ships, we are not to engage. We can definitely make use of those wake homers better at a later stage. Since this is the GIUK gap, there is a high likelihood of British submarines in the area. We have to be on the lookout for them, and we are allowed to take them out if we find any. We, however, are on the clock. We have to be through this area within the next 7 hours. If we are not, it is considered mission failure. So we're going to have to do a bit of sprinting and drifting, as these alphas unfortunately do not have a towed array. It's not going to be easy to keep a detection on my stern without doing a full circle. And seeing as the alpha herself is quite loud, I'm probably going to have to do a bit of, well, I'll say 20 knots and then 5 knots just in order to detect some things. How are things looking right now? Well, we already have one surface ship here, which, well, we're still gaining confidence on. Current depth, 370. Objective area, over to the southwest. There is another ship over here, doing 9 knots. How far away is that? 32 miles. I could try and run up to it and use it as a bit of cover. But I'm not so sure if I'm going to be able to A, get there in time, and B, have enough time to then make it to the objective. Because it's going to be about 80 miles that I have to travel. And I have 7 hours to do that, so I'm going to have to be looking at an average speed of like 11 to 12 knots. At which speed this thing is definitely not quiet. I need to see what this is, so I don't immediately get a torpedo thrown at me. 0.58. 0.6. What are we looking at? Most likely a merchant, but if it's a Nox, then the whole situation changes. And we still don't know. And we lost him. Okay, fine. Let's go very deep. This thing has an extreme crush depth and also an extreme speed. But let's say the boat is not particularly quiet when running at 41 knots. However, especially against the British torpedoes, that 41 knots could save my life. Because that speed is potentially going to allow me to run out of it or run away from a torpedo. Okay, I'm gonna go in a sort of zigzag pattern. This is gonna make for a longer journey, but if I'm running these legs at 20 knots, I should be able to make still decent time and be there before 1600 Zulu. So, new course. We're gonna go ahead full. And now we're gonna do a sprint leg. Running at 20 knots until we have reached either, let's say, halfway or all the way over there, but that'll take me an hour to get there. So that leaves me vulnerable. Maybe take a little bit less time. Ah, there's the surface unit again. He's so close now that he's definitely going to be easier to detect. He appears to be doing just a gentle 13 knots. Let's say that I'm going to lose him pretty soon. So he's doing something like that. This guy, 9 knots, course 281, give or take, something like that. And this is not exactly where he's going to end up, but that's a course so that if I lose the contact and I then reacquire the contact, I know that that's him. Okay, let's continue with the sprint leg, and then we're going to slow down and listen. I've almost completed the first leg, so I have about 3 miles left. Let's slow down to 5 knots and listen. New passive contact. Yep, that's the same surface ship, so I can immediately classify this guy as neutral. The guy behind me is in my baffle, so I cannot detect him. Let's turn northwest. While slowed at 5 knots. Let's take this track off. Just listen. If I want to try and get all the way to my objective, I'm probably not going to make that. Whoops. No, I'm definitely not going to make that. I'm going to be 8 hours late. Unacceptable. Okay. Nothing out here. Very well. Increase back to full. We're gonna do another sprint leg. I want this sprint leg to be about, let's say, 18 miles, so just shy of an hour. That takes 17 and a half. There. At that point, I'm going to once again slow down and listen. As I'm on my way, I've picked up a contact very close, 3 miles out, but apparently he's so noisy that even at 3 miles out, we can still detect him while we're doing 20 knots ourselves. I'm going to cut my sprint leg short to try and get my sonar a better confidence check. Let's also come up above the layer. See if we can find anything up there. Confidence is growing. So that is a merchant, unless it's a free mantle. Oh, sorry, it's 722 more. Let the confidence grow. We're still way, way below the layer. The layer's at 301 feet. We're currently at 900 feet. I wonder if we're going to be able to get so deep as to avoid getting a torpedo after me, because I can just pass its crush depth. Okay, so you're at a course of 072. No, I don't want him to attach to the contact, because that's going to disappear. 072. Okay, so that's you. Right, if I were to maintain my current speed, I would still be late. I want to head a little bit south now. I don't want to be predictable, because if I have been detected doing those 20-mile leg or 20-knot legs, I want to make sure that I'm going to be throwing off any kind of attack or any kind of track that they have on me. I still want to listen above the layer. Actually, while we're up here, go to Periscope depth. Something detected? Yes, 2 more here. 17 knots. Both on the course of 073. Could be a formation. But what's the top speed of a merchant? Isn't that like 16, 17 knots? If these are merchants that are for some reason flooring it, then those could be merchants. I don't strictly have to go to Periscope depth. I want to see with my ESM mast to see if there's anything up there. Any active radars, because that'll immediately give their presence away. And I know which one is an actual warship and which one is not. So, quickly up Periscope. That should immediately give me a full detection on this one. Yep, it's a merchant, confirmed. Nothing else. Okay. Lower the Periscope, raise the ESM mast. New ESM. Helicopter. Where'd that helicopter come from? At least I know there's a helo now. Somewhere in this area. Okay, lower the ESM. That was very useful, that bit of information right there. We're gonna go very deep again. And we're gonna try and run south and then due west. If I do that at this speed, I'll arrive way late. But if I do that at 20 knots, maybe I can get away with it. Okay. Once more, down into the depths. We're now making good progress. I'm currently not that far away from my objective. However, that helicopter is still somewhere out there. At least that's where I last detected it, and it's been a while since I actually tried to detect it. If I'm going to maintain speed of 5 knots, I'll be there at 2100, so that's a couple hours late. If I'm going to increase to 2/3, that's going to be a half hour late. I want to go to Periscope depth again, which will take me a little bit of time to get to, but I'm considering it an insurance policy, so that I know where that helicopter is. Or at least I'm going to have a bit more of an information about it. The problem is I will always be making some noise, so just going straight up is going to be impossible. There's the 2 surface ships again. Going straight up and just cutting propulsion is not really going to be that useful. Not on a nuclear boat. Okay. Not picking up any new contacts. I think we knew about those. We knew about those. ESM. Please don't be on top of me. What? Where is he? Okay, lower ESM, raise periscope. Nothing. No surface ship, no helicopter, nada. Okay. Go deep. Once more. We had 2/3. At 2/3 I'm going to be too late. But we're still gaining speed. The ship is trying to limit to maintain... Oh, sorry, the boat's trying to limit speed and not cavitate. I think if I do another leg at 20 knots, I might be able to then go to about 15 knots. And be there in time. So I had standard? Yeah, so I had standard, I'll make it. Oh, hold on. That's a hostile. It's a hostile merchant. Okay, interesting. So this guy is also a hostile merchant, but we're not going to attack it. That's not my job. My job is to break through the GIUK gap, so that's what we'll do. I'm not here to hunt anything just yet, unless it's a submarine. Hostile C. Yep, there we go. 7010. Okay. I'm going to change course a little bit. I'm going to do another sprint like of 20, and then see if I can get along at 10 knots. To try and get in there quietly, because if I were a submarine, I'd be lurking somewhere in that circle, somewhere in that area. Because, let's say the mission creator, they know where I'm coming from, and also they know where I'm going. So, yeah, having surface ships, potentially a helicopter circling about, and a submarine somewhere in this area, I think would make the most sense. So I gotta be real careful here. Time for another drift leg. Speed, 5 knots. Depth, 730 feet. I'm still picking up those merchants because they're nice and loud. And at current speed, I will be still late, but don't worry about that. I think we'll make it in time. The question is, how many tails will I pick up before I get there? At present, none. That I know of. But this is the problem with the Russian submarines. They don't have a tail. They don't have a towed array. So what I'm going to do is make a hard turn to port. A crazy Ivan, if you will. And since we have time, I'm just going to do a full circle. A full rotation of the submarine to try and let the bow array get the best chance of detecting, well, anything. I am at a depth of 730, so I'm below the thermal layer. It is possible that we will have a submarine somewhere above the layer that we won't detect. However, that might work both ways. I cannot detect them, they cannot detect me. So I'm hoping that that's going to make my escape here a little bit more easy. Now I'm heading kind of away from the objective, but if it comes to it, I can still run at the objective at 41 knots. Of course, that'll alert everybody to my exact location. So I would rather not. There's the merchants again. I would rather not, but if possible, I can try and use that. And at 41 knots, I think I'll even outrun a Mark 46 airdrop for long enough that the torpedo is not going to be able to strike me. So far, we're all clear. 7011 faded, that's the surface unit. Okay, relinquish direct control. Maintain course. Resume planned objective. If I'm going to 2/3, I'm still late. Okay, seeing as there's nothing around, we're going to do another full leg. Another full speed leg. And then maybe that last bit, go to 10 knots. Just sneaking in. A little later, I feel like I'm in a very good position. I'm only 25 miles out from my objective. And this means that if it comes to it, I can rush there and be there in about 35 to 40 minutes. So, I can take this nice and slow. However, not at 5 knots slow. Let's have a peek above the layer and see if we have company. The layer is 354. So it's going to take me a minute to get up to that depth. We lost the merchants again. I want to be very careful. I'm going to go to periscope depth again. I'm going to see if I can reacquire that helicopter, because I'm concerned about the lack of detection. That's the other neutral. See, that's why I put this track up here. That really helps, because this guy is exactly where I thought it was going to be. So, he's not a problem. Depth 35 feet. Good. The game still says I'm under direct control, but I'm not. I can just resume course. So, let's raise the ESM first. There's a little thunderstorm going on there. Which is good, because that means sea conditions are pretty bad for submarine detection. No surface radar detected. Lower ESM, upscope. Nothing. No, we're not going to active sonar, thank you very much. Should I go active radar? I don't think so. The reason why I'm thinking active radar is so that I know that there is, or could be, a surface ship up here. And active radar will most likely give me a direction towards that particular contact. It would also most likely give that contact a direction towards me. So that's not something I'm really willing to do. Especially since there's no sign that there is a surface ship close. Unless it's behind me. Unless it is behind me. Okay, I think we can make the last leg of the journey fairly safely. Go ahead 2/3. We have time, that's the good news. We got about 2.5 hours, and if I want to make it here, I'm going to have to, of course, speed up a little bit more. Let's go ahead standard. I'm going to go ahead full. This is to buy me a bit of time later on, so I can once again do a sprint and drift. Last leg of the journey. Let's see if we can get there safely. As we're just about to cross into the area we need to be, I've decided to clear my baffles. I'm going to maintain a due south course for a little bit of time, then change my course north, and see if there's anything that I've missed so far. So far, it doesn't seem like it, but it's possible that there's still some sort of surprise waiting for me. I'd rather be in the clear. Let's make this leg a little shorter. And then make that leg a little shorter. There we go. Now at 10 knots, I'll be able to get there with 4 minutes to spare. Although I'm kind of planning to do that last leg of not detecting anything at full speed. Nothing out here. Works for me. I gotta say, I didn't fire a single shot, but this has been a very interesting mission. Because you're just trying to sneak somewhere, as opposed to immediately going missiles free or sending torpedoes everywhere. You're just trying to get somewhere and not being detected. And seeing as this is the first part of a campaign, that makes perfect sense. I am, however, curious as to what was waiting for me. So if you have not played this mission yet, skip ahead a little bit, because I'm going to open the AI panel and see what ships are out there and where. So if you don't want to watch that, either click away from the video now, as the mission's about to end anyway, or just skip towards the end. Ready? Alright. Let's have a look. Let's bring up the F10 panel. Oh, there was a Nox. We knew about the civilians. There's 2 submarines. Okay. The Nox. He was all the way on the other end. Oh, that thing was a Nox? That was this track, coming all the way from that position there. Wow. Okay, didn't expect that. Then we got the civilian. He was escorting a civilian and another civilian. Or they just ran to the end of their track. There was one Oberon. Well, there was an Oberon apparently close to my starting position. Or it just ended up there. There's another Oberon there. So I've cleared that guy a long time ago. Because he's now like, what? Yeah, 40, 50 miles out. And that helicopter? That helicopter... It's not even in the same area anymore. So he's what, like in the middle of the screen? What is that? 90 miles? Yeah, give or take. Okay. So, nice work. We cleared through the GIUK gap. And with that, mission success. But this is only the first mission. The next is going to come soon enough. And seeing as this is the start of our patrol, I fully expect hostilities to go free very soon. So thank you for watching the start of my journey in K493. I'm looking forward to the next part, and I'm hoping to see you there. Thank you for watching. I'll see you soon for more. Just run. Just run. Put a noisemaker and come right. Noisy as hell, but we'll just have to accept that for now. Rather noisy than dead. The good news is, if this was in fact 2 helicopters that dropped all their ordnance into the water, that means they don't have a lot left. 1 helicopter's empty, the second one might still have a torpedo left, but I'm not sure.